It's a Tuesday night somewhere around 9:30 and you're sitting in your favorite chair with the lamp on low. Maybe there's a cup of decaf cooling on the side table. You've got an old concert film playing on the television, one of those big arena shows from years back. The frontman is doing what frontmen do, prowling the stage, hitting his poses, soaking up the spotlight. And then the camera drifts, almost by accident, over to the guy on his left, the bass player, the one nobody asked about. He plays one run, just a quick walking line under the chorus, and you sit up a little straighter. Because that, right there, was the best thing you've heard all night. And the man getting the screams hasn't done a single thing to match it. That little moment is what this whole video is about. Folks, I've spent decades listening to live records, watching bootlegs, and reading interviews where the famous singer takes all the credit. And the honest truth most music magazines won't tell you is this: the man or woman at the microphone is very often not the best musician on that stage. Sometimes they aren't even close. Today I'm going to walk you through 12 times a so-called backup player quietly outperformed the legend standing in front of them, and once you hear these names, you'll never watch a concert the same way again. If you want the longer written companion to this list, with extra examples I couldn't fit in here, it's the free guide linked down in the description. I'll mention it once and not bring it up again. Number 1. Jimi Hendrix had Billy Cox and Mitch Mitchell behind him, and most folks remember only Jimi. But listen to Mitch Mitchell on a track like Manic Depression. That isn't rock drumming, that's jazz drumming pushed through a rock amplifier. Mitchell came up admiring Elvin Jones, the man who played behind John Coltrane, and you can hear it in every tumbling fill. Hendrix was a generational guitarist, no argument, but on rhythm and pure musical conversation, Mitchell was meeting him as an equal, and on some nights he was leading the dance while Jimi followed. Number 2. The Rolling Stones spent decades with Charlie Watts sitting quietly behind the kit while Mick Jagger ran the show out front. Mick is a tremendous performer, one of the best showmen rock has ever produced. But Charlie was the engine. Without him, those songs don't swing, they just stomp. Drummers will tell you that Charlie's trick of lifting his right hand off the hi-hat on the backbeat is one of the most studied moves in popular music. He did more with less than almost anyone, and he made a frontman known for strutting actually sound like he had a band. Number 3. Bruce Springsteen has always been generous about sharing credit, but even he knew the truth. Clarence Clemons, the big man on saxophone, could turn a good song into a sacred one with 8 bars. The solo on Jungle Land is the example most folks reach for, and rightly so. Bruce wrote a great song. Clarence finished it. There were nights on the road when the loudest, longest ovation of the evening came, not for the boss, but for the man with the horn standing beside him. Number 4. Pink Floyd in their classic run had Roger Waters writing the words and David Gilmour singing many of the leads.
My hands felt just like two balloons.
But the quiet hero in that band, the one critics often skipped right over, was Richard Wright on keyboards. The chord changes under Breathe, the soft pads under The Great Gig in the Sky. That's Richard. Without his harmonic sense, Pink Floyd is just a light show. He gave them their weather.
For the day, and when all the clouds.
Number 5. James Brown was the hardest working man in show business, and nobody danced like him. But the band behind him, players like Maceo Parker on saxophone and Bootsy Collins on bass and Jabo Starks on drums, were inventing the language of funk in real time. James knew it. That's why he fined them for missed notes. He understood that the second any one of those players slipped, his whole act lost half its magic. The frontman was a star. The backup, by any honest musical measure, was a revolution. Number 6. Led Zeppelin had Robert Plant out front, hair flying, hitting notes most mortals shouldn't try. But behind him sat John Bonham, and many drummers will tell you flat out that Bonham was the most important member of that band. Listen to the drum break on When the Levee Breaks. That sound has been sampled, copied, and chased for nearly 50 years, and nobody has truly matched it. Plant was magnificent. Bonham was a force of nature, and when the four of them locked in, the drummer was the one bending the room. Number 7. The Who built their whole legend around Roger Daltrey's voice and Pete Townshend's windmill arm. Fair enough, both deserve every word of praise. But Keith Moon on drums and John Entwistle on bass were doing something almost nobody else in rock has ever attempted. Entwistle played bass like a lead guitar, melodic runs all over the neck, while Moon refused to keep ordinary time, and instead played the drums like a second soloist. On a good night, the rhythm section was outplaying the front line by a country mile, and the front line was world class. Number 8. Aretha Franklin was the queen of soul, and she earned every syllable of that title. But the players in the room with her on those Atlantic sessions in Muscle Shoals in New York were extraordinary, and one in particular deserves his name said out loud. Bernard Purdie on drums. The Purdie Shuffle is taught in every drum school on earth. When Aretha sang Rocksteady, the groove underneath her was Purdie quietly turning a great vocal into a song that lives forever. She was the voice, he was the floor she stood on, and the floor was made of marble. Number 9. Fleetwood Mac in the Rumors era had two of the most famous singers in popular music. Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. And yet, the band is named for the rhythm section, Mick Fleetwood and John McVie. There's a reason. McVie's bass lines on songs like The Chain and Dreams are simple on paper and impossible to replace. Fleetwood's drumming sounds easy until you try to do it. The famous voices got the magazine covers. The two quiet Englishmen in the back held the whole thing together, and on the live stage, they often sounded like the real story. Number 10. Queen had Freddie Mercury. And Freddie was, by any reasonable measure, one of the greatest frontmen who ever lived. So this one is bold, I know. But hear me out. John Deacon on bass wrote Another One Bites the Dust. Brian May built guitar parts that sounded like full orchestras. Roger Taylor sang harmonies that climbed higher than most lead singers can reach. On a song like Bohemian Rhapsody, Freddie is brilliant. But he is one quarter of a band where every single other member could have fronted somebody else's group. The supporting cast was that strong. I'm traveling at the speed of light. I wanna make a supersonic man out of you. Number 11. Tina Turner in her solo years was a hurricane on two legs. And she always traveled with a band of working pros. But the unsung hero of many of those tours was her longtime guitarist, a player whose name most folks couldn't tell you, holding down riffs that Keith Richards himself called some of the meanest in the business. Tina got the legs and the lungs and the standing ovations. The guitar player got the paycheck and the quiet respect of every musician in the building.
Till I hitched a ride on the riverboat queen.
By the strict measure of who played the hardest part flawlessly every night, the backup was the master. Before I get to the last one, let me ask you something. Have you ever caught yourself watching an old concert and finding your eye drift to the drummer or the bass player instead of the singer? If you have, you already understand what this list is really about. Drop a comment below with the player you've always thought deserved more credit, and consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss the next one. We've built a quiet little community here of folks who actually listen to the whole band, and I'd be glad to have you in it. Number 12. Paul McCartney in his Wings years was one of the most famous human beings on the planet.
People wanna fill the world with silly love songs.
A former Beatle, a household name. And yet on those tours, his guitarist Denny Laine was doing work that any other band would have built a career around. Steady, melodic, never showy, always exactly right. Paul got the screams, Denny got the job done. And when you go back and listen to Band on the Run with fresh ears, you can hear that the man in the shadow was carrying a fair share of the genius. So, there are your 12. 12 times the so-called backup outplayed the so-called star. And the simple lesson is this: the microphone is loud, but the music is bigger than the microphone. There's no money in telling folks that the bass player was the genius, because the bass player isn't on the poster. So you can be the one who knew better all along. This week, pull out one old record and listen only to the drummer. This month, pick a band you love and learn the name of every player in the lineup. You'll hear songs you've heard 1,000 times like it's the first time. Next week, I'll show you the singers who knew they were being outplayed and how gracefully or badly they handled it. Until then, keep your lamp on low, keep your ears open, and I'll see you back here soon.